Hello there, Vic Benedict here. We're playing Gears 5, and this is my insane difficulty guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Act 4-2. It is entitled The Fall. So this is the last chapter of the last act, and it is approximately the same length as the previous installment was, and we will be doing, I think there's just three. No, there's three main fights, and then there's the final boss. There's a little vehicle riding when you're in the back, but you don't have to do anything. But this first part, it's a shame that whenever you want to restart a chapter, just because you want to restart, you have to apply all of your upgrades back that you've accumulated. So it's quite frustrating for a person, just to have to restart a mission and have to reapply all of his upgrades all of a sudden and take time. But at the beginning, you're with the person that you didn't let kill in the beginning. So I let Dell get killed, and I've got JD. So we're not going to see a bereaved Marcus coming up, but you will see that if I do cover the game again on Inconceivable, if Inconceivable comes out or some other difficulty that's higher than Insane. So we're with JD. JD does get mad over here. Oh, this is important. This fight over here, if after you get the next checkpoint, we just got a checkpoint, but the next one you die, I would recommend restarting this part because it's not going to allow you to have the same setup at the beginning because you don't cross over the tripwire if you hang back here. What I would recommend is you place two shock traps in the middle of the path up there, and then before you start the fight, you want to let the cooldown all transpire so that you don't have to have a slower cooldown if you start the battle. So that is an ideal way to start it. Once you pass the area where the buzzkill is, so you're passing the area where the video game is, you're going to get a checkpoint, and if you restart from that, the battle has already started, and you'll have to have slow regen times. And since it's the first area and it's not too far away, I would just restart the mission if you die. And it is easy to die over here. That's the bad thing once you get the scions over here. So use the buzzkill. And I know I've talked shit about the buzzkill a lot, haven't I? Calling the game a buzzkill too. But I would recommend using the buzzkill on the scions because they have a lot of life. But I would recommend maybe freezing them first so that you don't get killed while you're trying to use the actual buzzkill. And at first it's just the lower enemies, the Amagos, and a bunch of Juvies. But then you'll have a couple of elites that will be winding their horns up to you, these ones. And possibly throwing frags, so it's really, really dangerous. And the cover is not very good. But once you've cleared out the majority of enemies and you have stim ready to go all the way up, and I'll show you where we can make our final stand. It's safer than this. See, I'm getting a boom shot at me. That is unacceptable. Back here, it's just a flip of the coin and whether you live or die. So don't stay back here. Come up here behind this post, and as long as you play it safe, you're not going to get hit by the boom shot. And you can kill the remaining enemy or two. Just make sure there aren't too many enemies over here, but that scion can't be contended with. This is not a horn winder. He does not wind his fucking horn. He stays back and fires a boom shot at you. And I've never been killed to the boom shot over here. I've been killed to it many times behind that other piece of cover. Okay? And then once the next fight is about to, you can move. You want to gather up all of the materials over here that you want. You can get all your frags back. And it's up to you what you want. I'm going to take the two Lancers. You can take a boom shot if you want. From the Scion, there's a couple of boom shots up there. You can take those because the next fight is not that bad, but the cover is shitty. But the fight after that, the fight is really bad and the cover is horrible. So that's the distinction. I think I might give this to JD. He's got a Nasher. But this next part is quite difficult because there's just a lot of things happening all around you. A lot of chances to get yourself put down fast like an animal. So what I would recommend is that you come up here and let let Marcus kill that pouncer. He'll do it, and then if you come up here, you could put a shock trap down and a couple grenades, maybe just in case anybody comes up the stairs and comes after you. I've never seen the pouncers come over here though, but this is a strange area because you've got geometry and like weird areas and like slopes going different ways, and it's hard to see, like, because there's smoke too, it's hard to see what exactly is happening, and it's hard to see who is where without pulse. And if they didn't tell you that a stump was coming, you might not even see him until he's like, until you've been firing at him quite a bit. I didn't know that the stump came down though, and he does come over here a little bit, so that's actually good because we can grenade tag him if we want. But this is such a long fight that I wouldn't really risk that if I were you. You can get snuck up on by enemies to the left, like I was mentioning, and you can get snuck up on by the right side of them coming up over there. But if that happens, just slide all the way over to the left and get yourself as much cover as you can, and activate stim to avoid getting killed, and just play it cool, because it is not that bad. Trust me, this is not that bad. I know you might be doing this and you're saying it is pretty horrible, and yes, it does kind of look like that just because there's so much of these enemies just all over the place. But have to realize that these guys really aren't rushing us too much. We might get a one or two guys coming over here a little bit, but we've got an extra teammate over here helping us out. Maybe even more than that, because I know Marcus is over here, right? But anyway, we have two people, so we shouldn't be that bad. The claw is actually quite good over here for dealing with the stump, because the claw is a good weapon to deal with that enemy. It takes a lot of damage off, and it's just a good all-around weapon for dealing with enemies in mid-range combat. Now, what do you want? What ability should you bring into this area? I bring in the shock trap, which I think is pretty good, because you notice I just set one down on the other side. It does a lot of work for you. I think the best ability in this game is probably stim for the support, and then for the actual assault ones, the multi-trap. The shock trap is the best, I think, or freeze. And unfortunately, we have a bastion that attends that stump, so you can't focus on the latter until the former is dealt with. But fortunately, since we have the claw, it shouldn't be too much of an issue to take down the little guardian. There's a drop shot back here too, if you want to use that. Sometimes the stump will hang on buildings. Sometimes he'll walk around. He's kind of random what he decides to do, but it really is not too bad. It's not, because he doesn't come over here usually, and with the shock trap and grenades, this shouldn't be too bad. But there's a catch to this. Okay, once you've killed the last thing, whatever that is, if it's a swarm enemy, or if it's the what's it called? The large enemy whose name I can't remember right now, the stump. You only get like 5 seconds before the game goes into a cutscene, and you can't pick up what you need over here. So it's really bad, and I hate when games do that, especially this game. So before you finish off the last thing, make sure you've gone around and got exactly what you want, because the next fight is one of those fights that's so difficult. If you don't have the right abilities equipped and guns going on over there, you might want to restart that, and that's not fun because you've already done a couple fights already having to get there. So avoid that at all costs. And you might want to have the stump alive at the end, because your teammates will have a harder time finishing him off rather than some normal enemy over here that they could kill a little bit more easier. It doesn't go that way for me personally. So when I saw that his health was going down over here, I needed to make sure that I had exactly what I wanted. Now, what do I want? Basically, I just don't want to get caught in a jam over there. What abilities do you want? Stim is a must, an absolute must. I'm going to take the 2 Lancers, alright? So that's not hard to remember. But take as many frags as you can, and take the multi-trap. If you're not a multi-trap person, take flash then, definitely. And make sure all of your guns have all of the ammo you can get. And there's a ton of ammo over here, and there's a big choice of what you can get. Okay, because right now I think we took care of the stump. We just have one more smaller enemy left. But notice that there's going to be an immediate cut to the next segment of footage, and we're not going to have time. It's really bad, because if you didn't know that, that's why I'm telling you. If you didn't know that, you could be screwed, because you are going to be in a truck and you can get access to a box of ammo and a couple of booms. But usually that's not enough, because the boom shot's not that helpful. And the ammo box, I'm even going to bring a tri-shot, believe it or not. And the tri-shot's not so bad if you're just having it and you're holding it at the beginning of a fight, because you can just simply drop it by pressing, one of the left or right on the D-pad and drop it, or whatever. But the tri-shot was not a deciding factor in this fight. So if you don't have the tri-shot, don't worry about it. I just wanted to have it because I knew that it could do some quick and easy damage on this part over here. So there are 2 booms. If you want to give those booms to your teammates, you can, but there's not much time, and you need to just hunker down and play it safe and not get damaged. You do not have to participate in any of the vehicle riding sections. Okay, so you can't access Jack here, but if you press select, you can switch your ability, so you can have whatever ability you want selected. You can't use stim over here while you're in the car, but if you're finding yourself like you're right here and you haven't selected the ability and you can't do it manually with a quick select, go into the select menu and it will let you select it manually that way. It's I don't know, it seems like an oversight, but what's going to happen is this truck is going to get stuck. It's going to crash over here, and it's going to get stuck there, and you're in a horrible spot, and cover over here is just almost non-existent, except for this firm and indestructible piece of cover right over here. But you get rushed by tons of things. So I'm going to place a shock trap right over here, and I would highly recommend that you get on these snipers as quickly as possible. Kill them with the grenade launcher. You could also place a couple of frags over here if you want to. That can help. Anything can help. But it's a long fight, and then when you move from this position, you have hardly any cover choices, so it's horrible. But you want to make your way up to that bus, and you need stim to help you out do that. You don't need it, but it's helpful. Okay? Because so many enemies rush you. The Juvies rush you, obviously, and the lesser enemies here, the Yamagos rush you. I'm going to switch to my tri-shot. Like, this is so bad, it's not even funny. Do not tempt those snipers to shoot you, because they'll put you down in one shot, okay? And it's bad to be killed by them because you feel like a fool for not being patient enough. But once everything is cleared over there to my satisfaction, that is to say, once I spawn the hunter, then I move up, because he takes time. He has to aim a long time with his torque to prepare, the player that it's being used. But when you come up here, you should. It would have been better for me to have stim going for myself over here, but pods are your main cover over here, and the pods are horrible for cover. But we have a sniper left, and also we need to take care of that hunter, but the hunter is not that dangerous. I can fairly say that you want to have switched from your multi-trap. We're not going to be using the traps anymore for the rest of the game, so don't worry about that. Keep flash on, flash and stim. Hopefully you have the flash freeze. It's much more helpful, because we need to push forward. We need to take out that hunter. But if you come up here too early, like at the beginning of the fight, too many things can go wrong up here. You get rushed from varying sides, and the cover is just too horrible to depend on stim with, because you can only use stim so much to keep you safe. It's only like 5 seconds, and then you have to wait a long time for it to regen. So wait until those hunters spawn and then make your move, okay? Because you're not going to get rushed by too much more over here. Possibly just a few juvies, but maybe not even that. Okay, and there is going to be a use for the boom shots in that truck. We're going to pull them up, and we're going to deal with the Harambe with that. This one might have been trapped down there, but it's okay. Got checkpoint? We may be getting the checkpoint in a second. We're going to have a flock and a Harambe to deal with. This Harambe is quite dangerous for grenade tagging. I am going to grenade tag him once, but the nice thing is that it's checkpointed after this. Oh, there's just one more dude down here. Okay, so once he's dead, or the last enemy's dead for you, you'll get a flock. But they start you down there, though. So I've had to link some footage up. I would recommend coming up here first and dealing with the flock, because you could deal with the flock up here and not have to worry about Harambe. This Harambe is also mildly retarded. He tries to mantle up the surfaces, and instead of moving to the next area because he can't mantle, he just keeps trying to mantle up the same surface, and he can do it like perpetually, and you can be in the best position where you can just... I had him like that a couple times, but I thought it was not fair for him out of respect for Harambe. Like, I respect him by calling him names all the time, right? No, but I just didn't want to have it in the guide, but you'll probably see it because he does it quite a bit. I try to get him unstuck from it, but if you didn't get a checkpoint here, this would be really, really scary, because getting to that first checkpoint location is hard as hell. Very hard. And the flock is not bad to deal with. Just make sure you're behind the bus when you deal with the flock, because then his cankers can't hit you. Okay. And once we deal with the flock, I'm going to start using the boom shot on Harambe, because as I've said many times, Harambe takes well to the boom shot. He takes well to a long range rifle too, right through the head, because he dragged kids around a zoo. A kid around a zoo, I'm sorry. But I think the kids were talking shit to him or something, I don't remember, but he shouldn't have done it regardless. And I don't blame them for having to put him down, because I never did like Harambe, or whatever the fuck his name is. Okay, is the flock on? Usually they'll say the swarm is done or something. They'll give you an indication. You usually know when it is anyway, but here he is. He's got a lot of life, and do you know the first Harambe that we deal with and this Harambe, the last one? They're vastly different. They have a lot more HP, this one does. He grabs you much more easily, and we're talking like Rape City a lot. And he doesn't get frozen for very long at all. So I am going to freeze him and grenade tag him a little bit, but I'm only going to put one grenade on him, and I'm going to get the hell away. I think he can come up here too, but from what I just saw, it doesn't look like that last thing that he was going up against was mantleable. So, but if this was not checkpointed, I would not ever risk going down there. So I wanted to just tell you that. Don't worry about it once you get here. You do have that checkpoint to fall back on. You could also give your teammates empty weapons, which I thought was strange, because I know in the other gears it doesn't let you get away with that. So in this game you can just give them a weapon with nothing in it. Anyway, just keep freezing him, throw grenades. There's plenty of grenades to pick up. There's an explosive ammo box down at the bottom. Beneath a staircase if you want to get that, but you shouldn't need it, because we're going to be coming up on the final boss, so you really shouldn't need it. But switch out for your boom shot, definitely, and have the lancers going into the final boss. And otherwise, just I don't know what you would want, but probably just keep your abilities. They're fine. It's the Kraken, so you know what that's all about pretty much. There's a couple of really good spots. It's not it's not a hard fight. It's simple, actually, and it's a good fight. Not because it's simple, but just because it's a well-done Gears boss fight. Man, this guy has a lot of life, really does. I also use the flash on the swarm, and you might wonder, well, why? Because it doesn't stun them, really. It doesn't freeze them, definitely. Yeah, but it has a concussive element if you upgrade it, so it does a little bit of damage. But the checkpoint was welcome over here. It was very welcome. But before that, it's shit. Like, this is probably the worst fight in the game, one of the worst. And it's kind of sad that I think the main worst fights are in this act that I think is one of the best acts, but has a couple of fights that really make me kind of question that. But I definitely will never say acts 2 and 3 are my favorite, because I don't like riding around in a skiff, you know? But I've grenade tagged him, and that should help out. But he might have unfroze before it went off, but it doesn't matter. It was still planted, and that's all we need to know. So you also still are damaging him even if you're not hitting his weak spot. The hit marker tells you that you are hitting him. So, and it's not chip damage either, but it's not regular damage either. It's just kind of in between, I guess you'd say. But when the fight's finished, go around and collect everything. You might want to turn the audio off, because your teammates will keep telling you to get in the truck, and it's just like, shut up. Shut the fuck up. You know? Let me go around and pick up my stuff and not have you guys keep admonishing me for not coming back quickly enough. Is it for the sake of realism? Yeah, it is, okay? But it's annoying as shit, and nobody wants to have to turn the character volume dialogue down just because they're so annoyed by that. So back into the cargo bed of the truck over here, and again, you don't have to interact, and you can't access Jack, but you can use the select menu to go and change your ability if you have ones on that you want to switch from. There's also an ammo box over here, so you might as well just fill that up. The next encounter or two, they're not encounters, they're just like, they're setups to fights that the game ends for you from your friend Cole. I think Cole does it each time. But this swarm act, you see it? Once we get out, we will be fighting it a little bit. But after like 20 seconds or less, you might as well get on the turret too and put a little damage into it. I don't know if you have to fight over here, but it only lasts like a fraction of what you would think. It's like 10 seconds and then it's over. Cole comes in and saves the day, I think. But it doesn't matter, because the fight will be over. And it doesn't matter. It just doesn't. Plain doesn't matter. See? That's the end of it. And then you're chased by the Kraken. And then this is going to take you up to a battlefield where you're in a defense. You're having a defense objective. Don't worry about the messing with the boom shots. I mean, if you want to give them to JD, go ahead, but I wouldn't have the boom shot on for the final boss. Do you see how the cankers could have hit us there? If you do think you might need to get healed, you can go into the select menu, and I think you can use Jack from there, but you definitely can't use him from the back here. So it's something, it's like a workaround, but it's something that the game makers probably didn't mean to have happen. But anyway, here is the next to last thing of the game right over here. And you're defending this area, but in short order, you're going to have a bunch of the flying robotic enemies coming, the shepherds, I think they're called, and then you'll have help from different quarters, the hammer. I think Cole might help out a little bit more. And then you just need to go back the way you came, go up the ladder, and then you're good. The first thing you're going to be doing on the boss, though, well, it's not quite the boss. You're going to be fighting a couple of flocks to, as the game says, defend New Etheria. But the boss is the Kraken. And he's got those tentacles from the last time that can snatch you up. But I found that they're more forgiving this time around. I got grabbed twice, and as you'll see, I was able to free myself twice without having to tap the B button like a madman. But it actually was a good fight. Now, the turret that you use when you try to kill the swarm, I don't think you have to use that turret, but that turret that you use, if you do what the game wants you to, That turret, if you stay on that in that area, the little raised platform where the turret is, this right here, when you fight the Kraken in a few moments, this is a really good spot to stand, either here or by the actual throw switch for the railgun, or you could stand like right over the ammunition pile if you want, and you'll never run out of ammunition. But I wanted to not take advantage of the game too much, so I decided to at least spend a little bit of time in front of the Kraken, even though I don't like this boss from earlier, but he's better now because of the freedom that you have to get out of the grabs. I don't know, the grabs were ridiculous last time, but they're actually fair this time, so that's how it should have been. You know, if you make a quick time event, make it so that a person can win consistently, and there's no mystery about it. So you're not going to need any abilities over here, save for perhaps stim. You can use flash though if you need to deal some quick damage. Here starts the fight. He's got the tentacles from last time. He's also got some weak spots that are, I think, tonsils, and you'll be shooting those in between. So to get the first checkpoint, it's not actually that bad, particularly considering that if you want to stay by the turret, this is you'll have a really easy time, or by the railgun. I'm going to stand a little bit by the railgun, but I am going to stand in front of it just a little bit, just so I can say that I just have a chivalrous bone in my body about this boss. But you know, he just got the weak spots, and then once you get the fight finished, for at least this segment, you're going to be going over to the railgun. It's going to take a few moments for it to let you go on, and then you're going to shoot it, and then you'll do another phase of tentacle. Here we go, look at this. See, it didn't work that well last time, and I'm not sure what is the difference. Maybe someone different made this boss fight that was more competent. But you can also use stim if you want to get out of the grab too. Not when you're being grabbed, but you can try it. But right before you get grabbed, if you don't think you can dodge out of the way. But this is a pretty good spot, even though you see I did get grabbed there. But if I had got grabbed like that again on the last boss, or even the first time, I wouldn't have been able to get out of it. It's a very strange situation, but you have a flock that is going to cause you a little bit of distraction. It's not really a threat, but we're basically waiting just for the railgun to let us use it. It will let us use it in a few moments. There we go. There's the stars, and once you throw the switch, you get to use the gun. Just aim it over to the right, and then when it turns red, click in the right trigger, and that will shoot a blast into it. You got to do this one more time, but do you get a checkpoint? No, I don't think you get a checkpoint quite yet. When you deal with these, you might get a checkpoint. Let's take a look. I got an active reload, so I was safe right there, and I got out of it. I don't know if you can get out of that without an active reload. You might want to try. Try using the missiles too. Maybe that might work too. But it's an easy boss, and I think it's a good boss though, because Gears games usually have either no boss or shit bosses. I mean, really shit bosses that are unfair, like Judgment had, and also Gears 3 had. But once you finish this segment, it's going to, I think it drags you over, but you also might be able to use a railgun. Let's see, it could be in that order if we're remembering this correctly, and I think we are actually, because his majesty there tries to drag you in with his breath before you can use the railgun. So as you can see, this is a really simple sort of situation, but look at that didn't happen before. I don't know what to chalk that up to either. Probably a different person made it, or took control of what was already made before and fixed it. Imagine if God of War didn't have quick time events that you can complete consistently. You know, no one would appreciate that game or respect it. But we're nailing our actives. You know, keep doing the good fight here, and you will eventually get this, and you will get your insane difficulty achievement. And I gotta tell you, it's been a long road for this project. Oh, we got a checkpoint right there, but we see it's blowing us in, or at least sucking us in. We've got a I didn't get an active there, did I? So I don't think you have to get an active, but once you hit the canker, then you come over here and throw the switch again, nail him. But that checkpoint, that was a nice, they didn't have to do that. They could have made this all on, you know, a single checkpoint. But after this, there's a little bit more of fighting, and Jack will come in with the Hammer of Dawn, and that will be the end of it. And that, fortunately, will be the end of the guide, but it's kind of been a bittersweet project. But in this case, since it's taken so long, it's taken about 3 months for this guide to have been made. And in that time, there was no content on my channel, so people, you know, they didn't know what was going on. I thought about making some updates, but from now on, what I'm going to do, so that there's no disappointment on this channel, is I'm going to make the walkthrough complete the walkthrough, and then only when it's all completed and all uploaded and in a playlist and everything's fine and done with it, then I'll start releasing the videos, probably on a daily basis that way. But there's the achievement right there. I also got a text message on my phone from the Xbox app that I have on my phone, but you can see it right there. All aboard the crazy train. We cleared the game on insane difficulty. It isn't really that bad. I'd really like to see how this game plays going through it without using the upgrades. And also the harder stipulation of perhaps an inconceivable difficulty, but we might not see that. Part of me doesn't want to see it personally, because I don't really want to slog through this game again on those middle acts and go through it, but I would definitely do it, and I hope there is, actually. Thank you very much for watching the walkthrough, participating in it, and if you took a moment to do that, and I will see you in my next project. Until then, please continue, as always, to please take care.